Okay, we will call the meeting of the Town of Lake Clark Shores Code Enforcement Board hearing to order. Emily, would you please?
Chair Paul Hughes,
Present.
Vice Chair Gerard Sanchez,
Present.
Board Member Ariel Hernandez, Board Member Deb Moody,
Present.
Board Member Wesley Cook.
Present.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. Are there any amendments to or additions to the minutes of the August 23rd meeting? Hearing none. Any unfinished cases now in compliance?
Hold on, we have to
Whoop.
do a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. Consent agenda. Any additions or amendments to the minutes of the August 23rd meeting?
No.
Hearing none. Any unfinished cases now in compliance? Eric?
Yes. Starting on page 1, agenda item 9, case 23-0240 came into full compliance on 7/1/2023. On page 2, at the very bottom, case number 23-0205 came into full compliance on 6/30/2023. Let me just check. Give me 1 second. On page 4, case number 23-0399 is in full compliance. Page 5, top of the page, cases 23-0413 and 23-0716 are in full compliance. On page 6, at the bottom, cases 23-0683 and 23-0684 are in full compliance. And that's it for the unfinished cases.
And any new cases in compliance, Eric?
Yes. Starting on page 7, at the bottom, case 23-0455, continuing on to page 8, case 23-0456. Both of those cases are in full compliance. Case 23-0369 and 23-0368 are in full.
What page are you on, Eric?
Same one.
Same one.
Page 8.
It'll be 23-0369 and 23-0368 are in compliance. The next one below it, 23-0582 is in compliance. And, okay, on page 9, at the bottom of the page, case 23-0497, and on the last page, 23-0499 are in full compliance.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I would remind the board members, if you have had discussions with any property owners that will come before us tonight, or any firsthand knowledge of properties that will come before us tonight, if you would please disclose that at the time of our case presentation. Anyone in here tonight that's going to speak relative to any of our cases, if you would please stand and be sworn in by the board's attorney.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is case 23-0003K, William Corey McLeod. Mr. McLeod in here? Eric, can you present that? Emily, show us the video.
Yeah. Do you want me to show the video first?
Yeah, they should. Would.
Mhm. So it is the van right behind.
Mhm. Have we had any recent communication with Mr. McLeod?
He asked to appeal this citation, and so I confirmed with him that it was going to be on this agenda, but I haven't heard anything else. So
Okay.
He wants to
Discussion?
appeal it. Looks like he was already planning to run it with the car. Look how close he got behind it.
Yeah.
So is this gentleman, he lives here in
Lake Worth.
Lake Worth, but not Lake. Well, signs are clearly posted and everybody knows you shouldn't be doing that. So everybody's coming in for an appeal.
Any further discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0003K, I move that this board find the respondent in violation of section 30-3 of the Town Code of Ordinances and denies the respondent's appeal of the citation if respondent fails to pay the penalty of $500 within 15 days of this order. A lien imposition hearing shall be held on October 25th, 2023.
Can we give people 30 days to pay? At least. I'd like to propose an amendment to make it 30 days.
The motion is
Okay.
to move, to amend, to give the person, Mr. McLeod, 30 days versus 15 to pay. Further discussion.
Is that customary? I'm just curious. What's customary when it comes to fines or anything with the town? Do we normally?
well, for regular, for like liens for the other cases, usually we give them 30 days.
Okay.
But the October 25th meeting is 30 days away, in which case we won't revisit this until then if he doesn't pay. So essentially, he does have 30 days to pay it, seems like to me.
When did he try to sneak by? What was the date of the
Yeah.
video?
When was he cited?
I don't know too much about Lake Worth, but isn't Terrace Drive right opposite?
Yeah.
Just
it's-
take a left
it's
after you go
close
over the
by.
bridge.
The police department sent the letter out on August 8th, 2023. And the violation occurred on August 8th, 2023 at approximately 7:57 a.m. in the morning.
When was his citation?
It was sent out, so the police administrator sent out the letter, and it was sent out on August 8th, 2023. So
August
the same day of the violation.
What about if we just amend it to October 23rd, Monday after people? Will that give you time to process and?
Mr. Chair, could we just give directions so we don't have to do a lien imposition hearing? So you give them maybe 30 days, and then if they don't pay, I'm gonna record the lien. So that way we don't have to go back to the code enforcement board.
Okay,
Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make
Oh, excuse me. We have a amendment that we have to vote on to change from 15 days to 30 days. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? You can vote up or you can vote down. All those in favor of the motion to amend, say aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed?
Yeah, all right.
Motion fails. Now we go back to the main motion, which can be amended again. Main motion before us is to find the $500 and give 15 days to pay.
Well, how do we make the motion so we don't have this come back, as Emily said? I think that was why I voted no, because,
Motion needs to be amended to ask that the lien be imposed
okay,
If not paid.
if not paid.
I'll make that motion. That we give them 30 days. If it's not paid, lien.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Okay, I think the next case is
I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
I did.
Debbie did. 230025, Edison Perez and Lillian Perez. This is a lien imposition, gazebo installed without a permit.
Mr. Hughes, it would actually be still page 1, case 23-0240.
Right, that's a lien imposition.
Oh,
hearing.
I missed it. Apology.
Which one are we doing?
No, wait a
Oh,
minute.
240, I
that's
thought that was
because
in compliance.
It came in.
It's in compliance, but
Sure.
there was a fine that accrued, so it
Right.
doesn't need to be heard. And we have the property owner here.
See, there's already a fine as of July 1st of $4,500.
Okay,
So we need to hear from the property owner.
right, gotcha.
I have been in contact with the property owner. This property did come into compliance on 7/1/2023. However, they have spent over $2,000 in permits to come into compliance. So it's actually my recommendation to remove the fine amount that accrued, seeing as they had already paid thousands of dollars, and just put it into a compliance status.
So can we hear from the property owners?
Absolutely.
My name is Sachi Rumbaud. I am the owner of Florida House Investments, 1831 East Court. I do apologize because I have the spot on my land, but I try to put everything on compliance. I pay to the city hall here $2,184, plus the payments that I do to the courthouse for certified, and also I have to do materials. I ask him if it's possible and you reduce to waive the fee. I really appreciate that because I spend a lot of money on this case. Our house is completely finished and we comply with all. We already pull up all the permits and 8 permits, and we comply with that.
Wasn't this with the bare spots? Is that what this was about?
Yeah, so there was multiple violations cited on this property. The bare spots and the fence were cited earlier. The fence came into compliance, but the bare spots remained because they had to pull other permits to do work. So they did come into compliance for this, but all the other violations they had came into compliance before a fine was ever to be imposed.
So when were the bare spots covered?
The official compliance date was July 1st, 2023.
Okay, so my question is, what took so long to get the bare, how many bare spots were there? Was there a lot of it? Was there a few of them?
What they did was they actually completely changed out the grass. There was quite a big area that had grass that was missing. They fully replaced it on the right side of the property. On the back left, where there was bare spots still remaining, it's because they were doing work. So they were doing some structural work on the patio. So they didn't want to lay any new sod because going back there doing work, it was just going to tear it up.
Had they communicated that with you?
Yeah, they after the last hearing, and actually all the hearings that they've been at, she's been in constant communication staying on top of the permits, getting the final inspections done. The day she got her final inspections done for all the other permits, she contacted me.
Just curious, those other violations and everything else, was any of them because a permit was not pulled and then because you
Yes.
caught it?
Yes, it was correct. That was for the fence, for some of the structural work that was done. Manny had actually gone to the property and issued a stop work order. They did pull all the required permits.
Was any part of this fine related to those cases?
The one for the fence was, but the fence came in compliance, so only this one remained.
So this entire 4,500 is only relating to the sod?
Yes, correct.
I'd like to make a motion.
Is there any further discussion?
Manny, do you want to speak on this one?
No? Okay. Go ahead, Aaron.
I'd like to
Just
make,
one moment. Mr. Chair, what is your name?
Hisashi Tumbao, and my company, Florida House Construction.
Your last name again?
Rumbao,
Can you spell that?
RUMBAUC.
B-A-U-T. Okay.
Do you live at this property? Is this your home?
No, this is my second round.
Is it a rental?
Yes, but now, no, it's empty.
I see.
But I live here in this street. I live on the first house on this road, Barbados.
You want to make your motion, Ariel? Or you change your mind?
no, I'd like to make a motion to reduce the fine to $500. Based on testimony and evidence presented in the case number, I move that this board reduce the fine in the amount of $4,500 to $500 plus administrative costs. If the respondent fails to pay the fine of $500 within 30 days of this order, a lien against the respondent's property shall be recorded in public records of Palm County.
Is there a second? There's no second. Motion fails. Further discussion?
I'm just curious, Mrs. Ramau, well, it's only the bare grass because obviously you got other violations. If it wasn't for the bare spots, then you wouldn't notice the other thing, or you noticed the other things and
Yeah, it was, the very first things that was noticed was the fence and the bare spots. So those were the first two violations I've ever cited, and then the other violations came later.
Were you at the code enforcement board hearing when we started the fine running?
I came before the code enforcement meeting, and I have a meeting with Eric and Manny and the chief of the police, and I asked him what I have to do because it was the first time that I have this trouble. I live in this property, I never had a trouble before. And they say, well, you have to put on compliance, you have to pull up the permit. The other day I pull up all my permits, but I was working on the back of my yard, putting trees, removing trees, the fence, and if I put the grass in the front of the house, when I'm moving and go and forth, it will be damaged. And I explained to Eric, and after I finish, every time I call him, I will finish, he said, agree. But the time that I can finish with the grass was the day that I asked and told him. But I already pull up all the permits, I pay all my fees, I try to comply the best that I can, and I did. I complied with everything.
Further discussion? Does someone like to make a motion? Further
Oh.
discussion?
I'll make a motion. Based on testimony and evidence presented in case number 230240, I move the board reduce the fine of $4,500 to $1,500 plus administrative costs. The respondent fails to pay the fine of $1,500 within 30 days of this order, the lien against the respondent's property shall be recorded in the public record.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I don't agree. I don't agree with $1,500.
$1,500.
It's too much. I already paid $2,200 here, and I already paid my materials, and I already complied with everything.
But what you've already paid was not related to the sod. It was related to your fence permit or any other permits that you needed, correct?
For the sod was because of the permits. We needed to get the permits to be able
Exactly.
to put on the fence and then be able to put on the sod. If we didn't put on the fence, how are we gonna put on the sod?
And I don't have the permit right away. I have to apply. I'm waiting until the permit was ready. And it wasn't my time that I wait. I can every day. I try to do, but $1,500 is a lot of money for a family.
Ma'am, you
pay $2,200.
You have the option to appeal this to the town council.
And how do we do that?
No, I think they would have to appeal it to the circuit court. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
Oh, my mistake. My
I'm
mistake. I
asking you to
apologize.
help me because I am a family member. I don't have too much dollar for just throw away. I try to comply with everything. This is the first time that you guys see me here because I never before do nothing wrong. $1,500 is a lot of money.
I appreciate that, but I think we've reduced it $3,000.
We had
In
it
order
at 500 and
We have it at 500 and now you reduce it to 1,500.
Ma'am, you have the decision of the code board, and as the attorney said, you have the option to appeal our decision
I'm not agree with the code.
to the court.
I not agree. This is unfair. It's unfair because I comply with everything. I put up all my permits. I clean every day and talk with the code enforcement. I don't understand why. I don't understand, and this is unfair.
I hear you,
Mhm.
but that's our decision.
And now that if we appeal, where do we go to appeal? How do we do that?
Would be found at the courthouse.
So we would have to go to the courthouse for this?
Why you do that if we are here? We are our neighbors. Why you doing that to me? Just for a spot on my grass? This is what I need to have? Just for a spot on my grass? I already complied with everything else. I pull out the permit for my fence and I did.
I'm
pulled
sorry,
the
but
permit for
we
everything.
need to move on to the
Yes,
next
but
case.
I don't agree. You charge me
We've made
$1,500.
our decision. You have the option to appeal our decision.
I will
to-
appeal the decision
Okay.
because this is unfair.
I understand. Okay. Next case, 230025, Edison Perez and Lillian Perez. This is a lien imposition, gazebo installed without a permit.
You'll have to call me tomorrow. I present
Um,
the case. Yes, they made their decision. Okay.
Eric, are you able to present any
Yes.
additional information?
I don't have anything further. This is for the gazebo that was installed. I know he was working on pulling the permits. I'm going to hand it over to Manny.
Okay.
Manny Palacios Building Department. The gazebo was installed without the permit, and the permit was issued for the gazebo, and there was 4 phases of inspections that are required. Today was a foundation inspection which failed. And they need to do a column framing and then a final. But as of today, all 4 have not been done.
Has there been any further communication with the property owner?
I haven't. I just know that I was just informed by our inspector that did the foundation inspection that the foundation inspection failed
And what was the date of that?
today.
Of today? Okay.
And that was the first inspection they'd scheduled. Correct.
Yes. And that was for.
And was the property owner there, or you don't know, or?
I didn't, no, I was not the inspector that went on site.
Yeah.
It was one of our other inspectors, but his report indicated that the inspection failed.
Okay. The lien currently is $4,550. Discussion? Anyone like to make a
No.
motion?
Was that cement done by a contractor? A foundation or whatever? Or was that done by the homeowner?
That I couldn't answer. I don't have that information, but I would assume that the installment of the permit was probably done, was an owner builder. And was a foundation for this gazebos aren't that difficult to do.
Mhm.
So the permit was issued to the homeowner, not to a contractor.
That I don't know. I'm just speculating that because it failed, I'm assuming it was probably the property owner didn't do it properly. Because I mean, it's not that difficult and any kind of a contractor would know how to do it, at least to the minimum standards to pass.
If we need to know, Emily, we know whether it's a builder owner permit application, don't we?
Yeah, it would be in the file.
You don't have the file.
Well, bottom line is they.
The bottom line is it failed.
It failed, and also a gazebo without a permit. So
Right.
bottom line is they didn't inform the town. They didn't do the proper thing. I mean, that's right there, boom. I mean, he didn't get the permit. Obviously,
Right.
So
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Based on testimony evidence presented in case number 230025, I move that a certified copy order to impose lien be recorded in the public records of Palm Beach County with such order to constitute a lien on the respondent's real property and property provided as law. Now that $200, how much is it? $50 a day will continue to roll. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it will be greater than $4,500. Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
All right.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Next case.
Next case is 23-0533
Mhm.
and 23-0534. I've had no further communication with the property owners. I've received nothing from the county health department. So as of today, the violation still exists because I haven't received anything from the health department. This was in reference to the unlawful discharge of the raw sewage that was leaking into the backyard.
Eric, do they, I'm going to ask a foolish question. Do they know that you need to hear from them?
Yeah, the property owner was present when this meeting happened. It was stated on the record that documentation from the health department has to be provided because it went to the county, because the county opened a case. The town can't close it until the county closes their case.
And we've checked, the county still has not closed their case.
No, it's up to the property owner to set up an appointment, have them come out. Usually when they start their inspection, they'll give like a certificate of completion or something showing that there's no longer a violation. And then that's the property owner's proof. I've had no further communication from them. I got one phone call from them saying that everything was done, but that was by them hiring a contractor to come out and fix the sewage problem. That didn't address the actual raw sewage spill.
And there are people living there now, aren't there?
Yeah, there's renters that live in
Renters.
there.
Okay, there's actually two cases here connected.
I'll make a motion.
And give me 1 second.
Okay.
That's okay. And the total fine between the two cases, as I see it, is $62,000. That's correct, okay?
And continuing to.
And continuing to accrue. Okay.
Okay, based on testimony evidence presented in case number 230533 and 23, could we put them both together? Should we do one at a time?
One at a time.
Okay, 230533. I move the certified copy of the order to impose a lien be recorded in public records of Palm Beach County with such order to constitute a lien on the respondent's real property and personal property as provided by law.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And 0534,
Based on testimony and evidence presented in case number 23034, I move that the certified copy of the order to impose lien be recorded in the public records of Palm Beach County with such order to constitute a lien on the respondent's real and personal property as provided by law.
Second.
discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
All right, case 23-0205. Property is going to be 6630 Mango Circle. The property came into full compliance on 6/30/2023. The imposed fine start date was 6/28. I did finally get to speak to the owner. The reason that the lawn took so long is because he had to strip it and had to reseed it. So the grass was fully grown by the 30th. It's only 2 days. I would recommend, what did it accrue to?
$200.
$200. I would say to either reduce it down to maybe 50 or maybe just dismiss the fine altogether because it was only 2 days.
The fine is currently $9,100.
No, it's not correct on the list. The compliance date was 6/30/2023, so it was only 2 days.
So what is the fine? What should the fine be?
$200.
Oh, it came within 2 days, you said, right?
I'd like to make the motion.
Is there any further discussion? Go ahead, Aaron.
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0205, I move that the board waive the fine of $200 and the administrative costs incurred, if any.
Is there a second? Hearing none, the motion fails. Further discussion?
I'll make one. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number, I'm on the wrong side,
0205.
230205. I move the certified copy of the order to impose a lien be recorded in the public records of Palm Beach County. Such order to constitute a lien on the respondent's real and personal property as provided by law.
$200.
$200.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
Case 23-0649, property 1550 Forest Boulevard.
This is fine imposition hearing. Go ahead, Eric.
So I did speak to the property owner and the property manager. They have, they've either started the process of pulling the permits or they have. I'm gonna turn this one over to Manny before I give my recommendation. So
They're going to seal the parking lot, so it's really nothing of a major project, except some filling in any potholes and so forth, and then just sealing it and probably striping the parking lot for parking. So I don't see a real big issue here. It is time consuming and trying to get a contractor to get pinpoint them to a specific time. I don't know what the timetable is, but I'm sure Eric will work with the contract, with the management to see what they're looking at.
Yeah, and I discussed it with Manny, and also the property manager is here, but I was consulting with Manny, and we agree that giving them 60 days to get it taken care of should be good. I spoke to the property manager, he agrees, but he can speak in his own words.
Okay, so when was the notice of violation?
Bear with me for a moment. Okay, so the original notice of violation was issued on 6/13/2023.
Okay, and at our last meeting, we determined that the property owner was in violation. And your recommendation is to add another 30 days,
60 days.
another 60 days, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because the property owner who wasn't aware of what was going on reached out to me. Within a couple of days of them reaching out, they were already contacting the building department, doing what they're supposed to. I don't know where the miscommunication was. I did verify the mailing address to the owner, which he said was correct. But I know that for 1755 Forest Hill, we had given them, I believe, 90 to 120 days, and we did the same thing with 7002 Hayden Road. So I think we should probably stick with the standard, maybe just give them a little more time, but that's up to you to decide.
Have they applied for the permits yet?
To date, no. You have?
You want to come up, sir, and tell us your name and add any information?
My name is Ricardo, property manager.
I'm sorry, I don't think Emily got that. Can
My
you,
name is Ricardo Lopez, property manager. We applied for the permit on, I think it was 2 days ago. '23, yeah, the 22.
Sorry?
The 22 of this month, we applied for the permit.
September 22nd,
Yes, sir.
and you were noticed on 6/13 and you never got the notice?
We never got the notice. As soon as we got the notice, we asked for the permit. We applied for the permit.
So you didn't get the notice until 9/21?
Yeah, exactly.
Was the notice sent again?
The notice of violation, the notice of hearing, and the orders that you put together, they were all mailed out to the same addresses. And the notice of violation and the notice of hearing was also physically posted to the property and to town hall.
So even though the violation was posted to the property, you didn't know about it?
I didn't know. We didn't know.
Are you on site,
No,
property manager?
no. I'm not on site.
And someone at the property, a tenant or someone didn't notify you?
Didn't notify us. We already checked all our, like our platforms where we cross messages with the tenants and we have no information.
Eric, have you had any conversation with the owner or this gentleman here? And when was it?
I've had 2 conversations with the property owner. One was, first one was about a month ago. The last conversation was about 2 weeks ago, give or take. So the impression that I got was they were going to do everything that they needed to get the violation corrected. They understand that the parking lot needs to be resealed and restriped. Conversation was cordial. There didn't appear to be any pushback.
And you're asking for another 2 months, so that'd be 5 months since the original citation, correct?
Yes, correct. Because now that we have communication, the property owner has asked, for an extra 60. After speaking with Manny, we agree that, a 60-day extension will be plenty, but that'll be the only extension. This will be a one-time extension of 60, not a continuation from there on out.
Do you have a contract to have your lot sealed?
Yeah, we have.
You do?
Yeah.
With who?
I know his name.
You
I
don't know?
his company. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is it a licensed
Yeah,
contractor?
licensed contractor.
Well, it should be on it. Do you have the ability to look at the building permit, Emily?
Not right now.
No, I just wondered if you did on there.
Yeah, but I don't really take care of building permits, so.
Okay.
My opinion is 5 months is way too long. It isn't like this just appeared. I mean, his parking lot, he might
From a
have,
practical standpoint, it
Let
takes-
Wes finish.
it didn't just appear. The owner must have known that it was, I mean, he might not have been cited until June, but he must have looked at it and said, geez, that doesn't look very good. It has to be redone and striped. I think giving him another 2 months is way too much.
Ariel?
From a practical standpoint, permitting the whole timing and everything, and scheduling your contractor.
And also remember, this isn't residential. This is, they are,
This is commercial.
yeah, it's commercial, but it's apartment. So we're
Yeah.
talking about a pretty big parking lot. It's not like a driveway. And Manny, can you speak on this?
And the problem with that is, logistically, where are you putting these vehicles that are normally parked there? If you're gonna redo that parking lot. I know you could do it in sections, but you still have that problem. So it's really a logistic issue for the contractor and the tenants that are there. So that is why we decided maybe go with the 60. The condition of the parking lot is not in such a, that it is causing any
When did
kind
your,
of problems.
when did your contractor say he could get it done?
I have to confirm with him, but he's compromised to comply within the next 60 days with us.
Within the next 2 months, he said he could get
Yeah.
it done. Okay.
We're waiting for the permit. After the permit, he will make it work.
Have they indicated to you how long it will take to process the permit?
The permit, no, but the process of resealing will take 2 days.
Is there further discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
Violation.
Procedurally, is this if we wanted to continue the fine until compliance, what order would be recommended?
I don't have the sheet, but you would want to extend the date for compliance if you have a motion to extend it out.
I don't think we've imposed a fine yet.
No. We have
May
not.
be imposed.
Right.
And then we're not going to meet again until December 6th.
October 25th and then December 6th.
Yeah, October.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're saying is we're really looking at over 2 months before we meet again, huh?
Right.
But we could still give a date of 60 days.
Right, you wouldn't have to give to December.
Right. Someone like to make a motion?
So would that be order 1 or order 5?
I don't know.
We've already determined that they're in violation,
Right.
Right.
so
There's
it's
a-
not number one.
And there's $200 fine accruing.
All right, I'll do it.
It would be number 5.
Mhm.
Okay. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0649, I move that the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated, I guess would it be today's date? Or would it be
It would be the
middle date of the August 23rd?
August 23, yeah.
Okay, dated August 23rd of 2023. Given the evidence presented, I move that the date for compliance be extended to
11.
November 27th of 2023, and a fine assessment any fine assessment hearing, if necessary, shall be held on December 6th, 2023.
Second.
Debbie seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
All right, next case is actually 5 cases.
Yes, we can go at them one at a time if you want, seeing as you make separate motions. Case 23-0577, property 1740 Carissa Road. I've had no communication with them. The semi truck, to the best of my knowledge, is still back there. I can't see through the fence, but when I went out with the health department for the other violations, I was given permission to go in the backyard. That's why I was able to obtain that information. So as of today, there's been no communication, so I have no way of knowing if it is or if not still back there.
I mean, it's usually visible over the fence.
The way they had it parked, you couldn't see it over the fence because they had it tucked away in the corner.
Oh,
Because I remember you had mentioned before that there was a semi truck there.
yeah.
And I had looked for it, maybe the way it was originally positioned, but they had it tucked away where it could not be seen through or over the fence.
This is the property that's on the very corner with Forest Hill, the first house on the right.
Well, if you're on Carissa, heading northbound, right before you get to Forest Hill and make the turn, it's the last house on the left.
Right. I believe this home has had multiple, as a repeat offender, just with the semi truck in the front of the yard. And this is not the first time.
Yeah, they were earlier, the part of the lean position.
No, but I think they've been cited prior to this one.
No, I think you're right.
For having their semi truck parked right in front.
It was issued a notice of violation. It wasn't taken before the board, so it has to be taken before the board and then, found to be in violation for them to then be considered a repeat offender.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Based on testimony evidence presented in case number 23-0577, I move that a certified copy of the order to impose a lien be recorded in the public records of Palm Beach County, with such order to constitute a lien on the respondent's real and personal property provided by law.
this is a fine imposition.
Yeah, I think that's
Les.
wrong.
In the last meeting, we said we may impose a
Oh,
fine
all
of
right.
$250.
Okay.
Number 3.
What's wrong with number 8?
This is also the fine that's been.
Couldn't we do number 8? Oh, no, sorry. Okay. All right, I'll do it again. Based on testimony evidence presented in case number 23-0649, I move that a response be found to have failed to comply with the order, finding a violation dated.
Wrong case number.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay,
0577.
yeah, one of those. 23-0577. Order finding violation dated, let's see, September 26th. And a fine the amount of, in this case, $250 a day be imposed commencing on September 26, 2003, and such fine shall constitute to accrue at their daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's costs in prosecuting this matter will be assessed.
Wesley chose, you got the wrong date. It should have been August 23rd, of 2023 instead of September 26th. That's the date of compliance. Right?
Let's see, must come in.
No, we found him in violation the 23rd, and he had to come into
He
compliance.
had to
by
come in
today.
compliance on September.
I think he's right.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, Wes, it's your
Well, okay.
0578.
Based on testimony and evidence presented in case 23-0578.
I have
Yeah, we've gone over
to,
it.
I have to present for this, so each case I just have to give testimony.
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh, sorry.
That's no problem.
ask for discussion. Go ahead, Eric.
So case 23-0578, property 1740 Carissa Road. The violation was for a covered patio that was installed without a permit. No permits have been applied for or pulled, and as of today's date, no communication has been made.
Okay. Any discussion? Wes?
Oh, okay. Based on testimony and evidence presented in case number 230578, I move that the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated September 26, 2023, finding in the amount of
Well, no, 'cause it is.
$100 a day be imposed commencing on September 26, 2023, and such fine shall continue to accrue at the daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's costs in prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
There a second?
Second.
Okay.
Debbie, second?
Yep.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Eric,
Case 23-0579, property 1740 Carissa Road. The electrical work that was done without a permit, this was attached to the covered patio. Still to the state, no permits have been applied for or pulled, and there's been no communication with the property owner.
discussion? Wes?
My turn. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 230579, I move that the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated September 26, 2023. A fine the amount of $100 a day be imposed commencing on September 26, 2023, and such fine shall continue to accrue at the daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's costs in prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Case 23-0580, properties identified by 1740 Carissa Road. This was for structural work without a permit. As of today's date, no permits have been applied for or pulled, and no communication with the property owner.
Was this the double dip one?
Discussion?
Might be.
Remember we talked last month?
Yeah.
Wes?
Ready for me?
Yep.
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number, let's see, 230580, I move the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding a violation dated 9/26/23. Fine the amount of $150 a day be imposed commencing on 9/26/23, and such fine shall continue to accrue at the daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's costs in prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
Second.
Deb seconds. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Last one.
All right, Case
Okay.
23-0581, property is identified by 1740 Carissa Road. This is for bare spots in the backyard. As of today's date, I've had no communication with the property owner. I have not been back into the backyard. The violation still exists until I can do a reinspection to see otherwise.
And you have not asked to go to the backyard from the property owner, just,
So the people who are currently renting there, they gave me permission to go in once, I guess. I can only speculate that some kind of conversation or something must have happened between them and the property owner, because now I have no communication with them. They see when I post to the door, they see when I'm taking pictures, but they do not make contact with me anymore.
Based upon the testimony and evidence presented in case number 230581, I move the response be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation on September 26, 2023. A fine the amount of $100 a day be imposed commencing on 9/26/23, and such fine shall continue to accrue at that daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's costs for prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
I second it.
Jerry seconds. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
The next violation is going to start on page 5. And that will be.
230677.
Yes, sir.
Eric,
Okay, Eric?
did you say that he was in compliance?
Mhm.
Did you say that the?
Yes.
Yeah, he was in compliance,
The gentleman in the front row.
sir?
For the gentleman in the front row, just want to let you know your property is in full compliance.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm here to ask a question.
okay, that's fine. We just want to make sure that you're not waiting for your case that's been closed.
Well, I figured I'd probably have to wait till after these were heard.
Okay,
Yes.
But it's relevant to my citation, so
Okay, understood.
you'll be able to do that in a little while.
Okay.
What,
Eric?
Chair, Mr. Chair,
Case,
could we just go out of order? I think there are two people here, this gentleman and I think can we get them up, get them so they don't have to sit here till 8:30?
Mr. Daughtry in the back, his 2 violations are in full
I
compliance.
understand, but we
He
have
just-
this gentleman and
Mr. Murphy,
I prefer to get through these cases. I don't know. What do you want to do?
whatever you want to
Your
do.
pleasure.
I don't mind adjusting the agenda to here
Okay, so, all right.
if we're able to.
Sir, your case was, which one?
his was for property 1521 Oak Drive.
Where is that?
It was on the new, I'll find it for you.
What page, Eric?
Page 8, and it'll be at the top. I'm sorry, starting on page 7 in the bottom, page 23-0455
Okay.
and 23-0456.
So, Mr. Simon, you're in compliance, and you'd like to make some,
Yeah, so obviously, life happens and you get kind of behind in a few things and you need to be reminded. So no problem, let me know and I'll do it. But this was a little vague. So I got 3 citations a few months ago. I disposed of them because I thought I took care of them. One was to move some stuff that was piled up in front of the garage, which I did. The other was to, I believe it said re-blacktop the driveway. So there were some potholes forming in the driveway, so I took care of those, and I assumed that's what it was because it was fairly vague re-blacktop. I knew it didn't mean, hire a company to come out and put in new driveways. Then I got a citation about having a vehicle, inoperable/unregistered vehicle on the property. So again, very vague since I have 4 vehicles and a trailer outside and another vehicle inside my garage. So all my vehicles are registered and licensed, insured and all that. So, okay. Then I got 2 more citations. One said the driveway needs to be resealed, so I did it. Okay, so that's obviously what we were after in the driveway. So I took care of it. I just need to know exactly what you're looking for. And then I got the same citation on the vehicle. So when I was resealing driveway, Eric stopped by, introduced himself, and we had a conversation. And I went, oh, well, I just had to charge the battery, move the vehicle, do the driveway. I've been injured and ill for the last 5 years. I can't drive my motorcycle anymore. I can't drive my Corvette anymore. But it sits in my driveway because they were something I wanted my whole life. And if I only get to look at them, that's my option. So our codes are very vague. And now if there is a number of days that my vehicle can stay in one spot before I am mandated to move it, let me know what that number is. If it isn't, I don't ever want to see one of these again when I'm licensed and registered.
Are all your vehicles licensed and registered?
Yes, and insured.
Then I don't think that's going to be a problem, is it, Eric?
No.
No, once, as long as they're registered and
So
ready to go,
then why did I get this lovely love note?
well, at one point you said you had to charge the battery to move it, so I would suspect that was it, and maybe they weren't. I don't know.
Okay, it
Eric,
was
were
sitting
they?
there with a car cover on it.
Yeah, no, it was the vehicle, which happens to be a very nice Corvette. It was parked in the same spot covered, same as other violations that have come before. In the past, other ones had been unregistered. He did uncover the vehicle. Tag's good. No violation existed, so that's why that one was immediately closed.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it was just a matter of a quick conversation.
Well, I think
Uh,
now Eric
and-
realizes,
But
you realize, and Eric, you've had a conversation, so I think that
right,
should
well,
smooth things over.
I understand it, but I mean,
But
what I'm
that's
trying to
not-
say is that the codes are a little vague in this area, and
So then my advice would be to bring that to the attention of the town council, because that's who.
Right. so that was my next question
Writes the
of
code.
of how do I
And then-
petition or whatever to make a change?
Yeah, and then the police department is charged with enforcing, and then we are on the downstream from them.
Right.
And here we are. So, yeah, it starts with making a case to the council, on adjusting the code.
Okay.
Mr. Simon, we only try to enforce the codes.
Yeah,
And-
well, you
and
do a
if you-
pretty good job of it.
If you want to, if you recommend changing the codes, that's not in our
Yeah,
purview.
well,
That's the town council's.
right, so that was my third question,
And-
was what's the procedure
Oh,
for?
just understand one thing, a lot of the town ordinances or what you see here, we're here with Palm Beach County ordinances. So a lot of folks think, oh, we're the town just, no, a lot of them were already done with Palm Beach County.
Yeah,
But I would suggest anytime you get one of those yellow notices or whatever, because all you have to do is just call the town, hey, I finished it. You can come here and look at it or have them, call. But, and I understand, hey, I did it. I thought it was done. And then obviously they need to know when it was done to, obviously if there were any fines assessed. But I'm just curious, I'm sorry to hear about your Corvette, that beautiful car that you have, that you can't move it. So I guess I assumed he thought the car was inoperable, or that's what.
Well, I just
or
hadn't moved it in a year and a half because
Mhm.
I work 24/7.
I
I haven't had a day off in 2 years.
Right. So I mean, obviously they saw it. I can tell you one thing. One of my sons had one of their tags license taken, and the next thing I know, I already had a notice at our home, not knowing or whatever. That's how we found out that the tag was stolen.
Right.
But what I'm trying to say is that is just something that you can't have any unlicensed vehicles, even if it's on your private properties.
Right, right. I understand that.
So, but any of those yellow notices, you just call the town council and the code enforcement officer, or they'll be more than happy. And you just tell them, hey, I finished it. You want to come here and,
Yeah.
write it off.
So I just wanted to say, we need more clarity and less vagueness, because, vagueness leads to litigation, which is bad.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
anyway, okay.
Thank you.
For your time.
Thank
You
you.
guys have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Tim?
Tim Godfrey, 1410 Keller Road. So I would reiterate what he said, okay? I was cited for my driveway and outside improper storage or whatever it's in the case, several months ago. And the driveway issue it was not said that I had to reseal the driveway. And the outside storage, I believe I dealt with. I left 2 bins there that hid a couple bags of coal pack asphalt, which I was using to do some repairs on the driveway, which is what I had to do. And then just hit it, which, I thought was an appropriate thing to do. When I was originally cited, I called Eric, and Eric and I have had this discussion. I didn't get a return phone call. Okay, I went ahead and did what I thought I should do. Okay, and then I was just given a notice to show up here today because of the improper storage and the not having to seal my driveway, okay? And that was part of my conversation that I left with him. I didn't get a phone call back, okay? So that's one thing, okay? And Eric and I discussed it, and he says, well, I always get back. Well, in this case, he didn't. And, you know, messages get missed, okay? I get it. And, but here's the thing that I keep seeing. I see how many cases there are here. And you just voted to fine someone in the amount of $700 a day for multiple violations at their house, okay? That's a lot of money, okay? I mean, that's over $20,000, okay? And I believe in the past, we tried to make people, help them understand that we want them to comply. But $700 a day, that's a lot of stinking money.
That may be
I
imposed.
understand, Paul. I really do, okay? I sat next to you up there.
But you also have to understand that some of the residents, all they have to do when they get one of those citations, see what it is, call Eric or come to the town and
Even when we've done that,
get a
we're still
permit.
mailing them.
Let him finish.
Yeah, we're doing everything we can to notify the owners of the property. And if they turn their back, what are we gonna do?
Well, here's a good example, okay? The ones you just, let's go back to the one I said $700 a day.
That's with 5 violations.
Yes, electrical work without a permit.
Correct.
Structural work without a permit. Various parts in the backyard, cover patio without a permit, okay? It's the same violation, not having a permit. You're citing them the same code violation for the same thing. And it happened to my next door neighbor, Chris, who was moving in here, okay? And I saw the violation on his door. He had 7 or 8 violations on the door. Now, he was doing work without a permit, okay? I get it, okay? He was in the wrong. But when he was in the wrong, he was trying to comply, okay? And it took him over 6 months to comply because of administrative difficulties, okay? And it would, that's what I'm.
Tim, he didn't get a permit. Bottom line, he should have got the permit first. And there's multiple, the case that you're bringing up, multiple cases, they didn't want to follow the rules. They didn't want to follow the system. We don't know if it's safe or not. Someone sells a house, does work that doesn't have anything with a permit. The next family that comes in may be a victim because if someone just doesn't want to pay their taxes or have it done right. And that's not, the big thing is you got to get a permit and it's not right. You do contracting, I know that, but guess what? What do you have to do when you do contracting work? What's the first thing you have to do? You get yourself a bid, what do you got to do?
It depends on.
No, what do you have to do? It doesn't depend. Does it require a permit or not? If it requires a permit, then you got to get a permit.
That's a topic of discussion, whether a permit's required or not, okay? And I'll say this time and time and time again, okay? I mean, honestly, Manning and Eric were discussing the sealing and needing a permit to seal a parking lot. I've never heard of anything like that in my entire life.
Well, we're just enforcing the
think it's-
codes. Tim,
Hold on,
can you,
Manny.
for me, could you please just summarize what your criticism is?
Be a little less. That's wrong.
Less heavy-handed.
That's what I'm.
Fine less.
Fine less, okay?
Okay.
And Paul, we sat up here next to you and we
Yes.
discussed
Yes?
sizes of fines and everything else. And
I hear you.
I'm seeing a harsh, and this is not just about the code enforcement board, and it's not necessarily just related to Lake Clark Shores. I see, as a contractor, I'm seeing this every day. There's a lot more heavy-handedness I'm seeing on a day-by-day basis. And it makes it difficult for me to get customers service properly because of the heavy-handedness.
Could that possibly be due to the fact that people property owners are not being as cooperative as they could be.
Could be, absolutely.
And we're trying to achieve compliance because that's our responsibility.
Mhm.
And if increased proposed fines seem to help create better compliance, then maybe that's what needs to happen. I don't know.
Well,
But
I'm making.
I hear you.
Suggestion.
I think we all hear you.
Okay, I'm making.
Could
suggestions.
we move on? We appreciate that. We have a
That's
large agenda.
I'm just responding to what Paul just.
No
said.
problem.
Okay.
No problem. And the only thing I would say in retort to how heavy-handed, if you look at the history of the Code Enforcement Board, people have been fined, but nowhere near what was charged. That's all I'll say. And I don't want to get into discussion about it, just like the lady here today. It was $4,500. We reduced it to 15. Sometimes we reduce it to 500. We are aware of that and we work hard at it.
But
Thank you.
Ariel made a suggestion to reduce it to 500.
That's true. Yeah,
Okay. And they were prepared to pay 500.
sure.
And they were
We don't need to talk about anybody. I'm just telling you
Yeah.
that we are
Let's-
sensitive to it.
Let's-
I'm just asking to be a little bit more.
Okay.
I think we heard you, Tim.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, help me out here. I think the next case is,
Yeah, Mr. James, yeah,
is
yeah, 23, page 7.
page 7.
Continued cases?
Yeah,
No, this case is on page 5.
yeah, double
Top
up,
of 7.
top of page 7.
Top of page 7.
Should be page 5.
230034, is that correct?
That's what I had.
Yep.
Number 11 on.
Okay. Yeah, wait a minute. Eric, do you have anything to say about this case?
Did you inspect?
Page 7 top, yeah.
Page 7 on top. Sorry.
23-0034.
Okay,
David
thank you.
Janus? Is that
No, I still haven't conducted the reinspection
Yeah, I haven't.
of the pool. But he has communicated with me about that other thing. You know, there were other violations that were cited, so he has spoken to me about that. But pertaining to this particular case, no, there hasn't been a reinspection done as of today's date.
Okay. So you went out and re-inspected?
No, there hasn't been a reinspection as of today's date.
So at the last meeting on September 26th,
No, August 23rd.
August 23rd.
August, okay,
We continued the case
okay.
until here.
And to give, correct me if I'm wrong, to give Eric time to inspect the property, and you haven't been able to do that, Eric?
No, I haven't been in the back of the property to see the pool yet.
Have you tried to see the property?
I've knocked on the door before. I know at the last meeting it was discussed because I had given him my card. I didn't receive a phone call setting up for a reinspection.
And you called Eric to have him come out and see your property?
I made a phone call, yes, sir, but
When did you do that?
when?
Mhm.
Sometime between the last meeting and tonight, but I didn't understand why this was continued. And I read the order and I still don't understand why it's continued. I do now because of the reinspection issue. But someone on the board asked me, you know what this started with? My pool pump died. Pool pump dies, pool turns green. It's not unsanitary, it's just simple green algae. And somebody asked me, when did you buy a new pool pump? And I went through my checking records and I found it. March 23rd, 2023, Pool Zoom, I ordered a pool pump. And it was installed. But my thing about this order to continue is findings of fact. Okay, I was here, that's a fact. Proper notice, that's a fact. And Eric testified to and produced documents. He didn't produce documents, and his testimony can only be hearsay because he was talking about neighbors, Miss, what do I call her? Miss Parker.
Mr. James?
And yes,
You were here at the last meeting, is that correct?
yes, sir,
And that was on September 26th?
it was.
No, it was August 23rd.
August 23rd.
Oh, geez. August 23rd. I'm sorry. Okay, so you were here,
Uh-huh.
and when you left after your case, I believe you understood that you needed to get with Eric so he could come out and see your property. Is that, you didn't understand that? Are you saying you,
Apparently not.
at the last meeting, you didn't understand that?
Because I was more concerned with the legal aspects of this, because all your findings of fact are based upon hearsay. And I know it's legalese, your attorney understands, but I'm entitled to confront my accuser. It's not Eric, it's Mrs. Parker that lives behind me. She says I got rats in my yard. I don't have rats in my yard, never have had rats. That's really offensive. I did see a rat run across the utility lines behind my property one night.
I believe at the last meeting, we asked you if Eric could come out and check your pool to make sure it was okay.
He can't.
Huh?
He can't.
You said that at the last meeting.
I apologize. I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life right now.
Okay. So you're saying you just didn't understand what we were telling
I'm
you?
not saying I didn't understand. I must have forgot about it. I
Oh,
apologize.
okay.
But he can come out. I've got a new pump
Okay.
and it's probably running right now.
Yes, sir. Well, while you're here today, would I be able to come out tomorrow?
We're gonna
Okay.
coordinate. How about
You know what?
Tuesday?
Yeah, today's Tuesday, because the sooner I can come out and check it, the sooner we can, like, if the pool's good, then we can go ahead and close it.
I don't think you should.
Thursday? Do you still have my card or do you need another one?
So I'd like someone to make a motion.
Yeah, let me give it to you. I did give it to you during the last hearing, but.
Just a minute, Paul.
I got two numbers on there.
All right. Is there any further discussion among the board?
Yeah,
No,
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
As I recall, and I haven't checked the minutes, but I think it's there, that I specifically asked that you get with Eric ASAP on that pump. And while we're talking about the pump, Manny said, did you get a permit to put it in? Isn't that right, Manny? So I guess the question is, there are all sorts of questions here. Obviously, you needed, as of last month, you knew you needed a permit for the pump. You, all right, and you said you didn't know when it was put in, but it was put in 2 months earlier in March, okay? But I specifically said, make sure you get with Eric so he can look at the pump and look at the pool. And that was perfectly clear to me. I don't know if it was perfectly clear to anybody else, but we made sure, we reiterated once or twice, get with Eric ASAP. And you did not do that.
I've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Aside from a pool pump, but the thing that bothers me about this case is not the pool pump. Accusation of rats.
Well, it has to do,
it'd be a civil
it
matter.
has to do,
Wouldn't that be a civil matter with his neighbor?
yeah. And I also think that mosquitoes and a pool that is not being chlorinated and cleaned.
Never had breeding mosquitoes.
The chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion based on testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0034. I move that respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated August 23rd, 2023. A fine in the amount of $100 a day is imposed commencing on September 26, 2023, and such fine shall continue to accrue at that daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's costs in prosecuting this case may be assessed.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I'll speak with Eric.
Hold on, there was, in my notes here, there was a fine that was already imposed. That was $250 per day, and it started on March 24, 2023. So do you want to reduce the fine to $100?
No, but why isn't that information here in the continued cases information?
Because, I mean, we don't put I could put a lot of information in there. I mean, I could go from the beginning of the case, but at some point, I mean, the agenda is not going to be 20 pages long.
Well, I think it would have been important for us to know that there was already a daily fine running.
Okay, so, Mr. Attorney, we could amend this present motion to,
Well, if a fine's running, you probably have a fine running. I don't know if you didn't take any action.
so we could, yeah, we just passed a motion to do it for $100 a day.
You
Is
could,
there already a fine running? Or we said at the meeting that it would?
No, there is a fine running.
Okay,
Okay,
It's not on here, so
so we could withdraw this motion.
I'd like
Is
to
it in
withdraw
the
my
file?
motion.
And we can deal with that when it
Is there
comes
any
to
objection,
holding
is
the
there
lien.
any objections, Debbie, withdrawing her motion? No.
No.
Aaron? No. Jerry?
Nope. So let's just make clear that Mr. Janes knows where he stands. Right now, as of March, when was it, 20 something?
Yeah, March 24th, the fines was imposed. It started on that date.
Okay, so
It's
since March,
$250.
since March 24th, the fine has been $250 a day until you come into compliance. All right, that's just where it is, you know, and when we impose a lien, you can come and plead your case, just like the other people have today. Yeah, but I also will say to come into compliance, Manny, does he have to get a permit for the pump?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've got to get a permit and Eric has got to see the, go over there in the next however long. And it's $250 a day till he gets out there and till you apply for your permit. Okay,
And at the next meeting, I assume this case will come under the lien imposition.
I don't know, I suppose so.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Janes, if you don't get with Eric and you don't take care of the situation and you don't get your permit done, the next time we see you, it will be whether we want to place a lien on your property. So we would appreciate your cooperation in helping us take care of this situation.
Been in that house 22 years.
I hear you, but I'm just asking you
Think about the rat.
to help. Don't worry about the rats right now. Just help us take care of this situation, okay? Thank you. Good night.
Actually, give me a call. Okay, call me as soon as you can.
My blood pressure's up.
Page
Okay.
5.
Yeah, page 5.
case 5.
Okay. Yeah, a little thing. We got a lot of cases to go.
I've never heard of a permit for a full pump replacement.
I have. Yes, I have. In the community where I work, it is required.
It's electrical. A pump is work, you have to run lines, I don't understand how you figure you don't need a permit.
Replace it.
We don't know that though. That's why the purpose of the permit is for us to go out and see that it's properly installed. Whether you plug it in or what, or install lines, we have to see what is being replaced.
And I would suggest that 99% of the pool pumps out there are installed without a permit. I would never even consider getting a permit for a pump.
Well,
Okay, Mr. Chair, can we continue?
Yes, sir. Okay, case 230518. And
Which one are you on?
23, huh? Page 7?
It'll be page
No, page
5.
5.
Okay,
It'll be case 23 dash.
That's what happens when you get out of order like this.
No problem. Just let me know when you're ready.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, are we 230677?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All right, case 23-0677, property 7026 Pine Tree Lane. This was for.
there are 4
structural-
cases here.
Yes, so we'll go one at a time.
Okay,
So for this one, it was structural work without a permit. I've had no contact with them. I have not been back on the property to do any kind of re-inspections. So that's where we stand as of today.
so I assume that you haven't had any communication on any of these cases for this property.
For this one, no. These are new owners. Eddie, who works for the town, he was changing out a water meter, happened to notice that in the back of this property, that there was a bunch of work going on. He was able to provide me with the photos. The violations were issued. It was posted to the property along with my business card, as I do for all violations. The notice of hearings were posted to the property. No
No
communication.
communication.
No.
Are there any workers? I mean, have there been workers going since all of this in the meantime? Are there workers and people doing stuff to the,
No,
Going
not from what I can see. I work Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. No one's called and say anything. None of the other town workers have relayed that they're seeing stuff going on. So it's possible that the work has halted. What they were doing was they were converting a space in the back and creating like an addition to the house. So that's why it's structural, mechanical, and all of it. It's everything. I had shown the photos to Manny. We had discussed it. He agreed with me that everything that was cited was correct, and all of it requires a permit.
And there's no application that's been received?
As of today's date, there are no applications at all.
Okay. Do we need any discussion?
No.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I will. Okay,
The last meeting, with each one of these cases, it was
Maybe.
a fine may be imposed. This is an imposition.
all right. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0677, I move that respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated of August 23rd, 2023. A fine in the amount of $200 a day is imposed commencing on, I guess it would be today's date, right? September 26, 2023, and such fine continue to accrue at a daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town cost in prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I'll do it, next one.
Next case is going to be 23-0678, property 7026 Pine Tree Lane. This is for mechanical work that was done without a permit. As I previously stated, I've had no communication with the new owners, and as of today's date, there are no permits that have been put in.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Mhm.
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0678, I move that the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated of August 23rd, 2023. A fine in the amount of $200 per day is imposed commencing on September 26, 2023, and such fines shall continue to accrue at the daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town cost in prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Les seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Case 23-0679, property identified by 7026 Pine Tree Lane. This is for electrical work that was done without a permit. As I had previously stated, no communication with the new property owners, no permits have been applied for as of today's date.
Okay, I'll take it again. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0679, I move that the response be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated August 23rd, 2023. A fine in the amount of $200 per day is imposed commencing on September 26, 2023, and such fine shall continue to accrue at a daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's cost in prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
Second.
Les seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Case 23-0680, property identified by 7026 Pine Tree Lane. This was for plumbing work that was done without a permit. As previously stated, there's been no communication with the new property owners, and as of today's date, there have been no building permits pulled or applied for.
Okay. I'll make a motion. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0680, I move that the respondents be found to have failed to comply with the order finding violation dated August 23rd, 2023. A fine amount of $200 a day is imposed commencing on September 26, 2023, and such fine shall continue to accrue at a daily rate until compliance is achieved. In addition, the town's cost in prosecuting this matter shall be assessed.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Now, I do have a question. Emily, how do these people get a certified letter telling them this is going on? Like with the fines, or how do these?
No.
Nobody's here.
Eric delivers, hand delivers.
Yes, it gets hand delivered and it gets physically posted to the property. I put it on the front door. I use double back, well, not double back, but I use, big piece of tape to ensure that the envelope that.
I was just concerned, so they do get notice
Yes.
this is running.
Yes, they
Okay.
do.
Okay.
Page 7.
New cases?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 230518,
Yes, sir.
confidential, 23059, same property owner, I assume?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All right, good evening. I am Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores. This is case number 23-0518. Property owner is confidential. Property site address is 7127 Westlake Drive. A notice of violation was issued on 5/3/2023 for the vacant asphalt lot that is in disrepair and requires reblacktopping. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. And as of today's date, the violation still exists. I did speak with the property owner today. Because
Today?
Yes.
Mhm.
Because of the confidential status, I was only able to mail it to the address that was located. However, the property owner reached out to me. She informed me that over the last year, her husband has been dying. So all the attention and focus went on that. Unfortunately, he did pass. So the property owner, she contacted me, letting me know that they will get to it. She's in a very, very tough and bad state right now. So she's still writing her husband's obituary. After speaking with her on the phone, it is my recommendation to give her 90 days to come into compliance based on the hardships. If not, a fine of $50 a day be imposed.
did I hear you say the first notice was in May?
Yes, it was. So
What happened all this time?
they were in and out of the hospital, and then setting up hospice for the husband as he was made comfortable for his passing.
And is that concrete?
Yes, it is.
The whole backyard is
I think that's asphalt.
So
asphalt?
it's a mix of asphalt and concrete, but so this is an empty lot, and right next door to it is the actual property owner's home.
Is
So
that lot allowed to be completely asphalt like that?
Or it's their side yard.
Annie?
Well,
Is it one parcel with the house and this?
you mean if there's a unity of title, if it's
Yeah,
just one lot? That I don't know for sure, but the lot in its present state, I don't know when it was installed, but it's been there for some time. Maybe you folks might even know.
I don't think it would be up to code.
Well, it's not. Technically, there is, if it's two lots, there is I think a 40% lot coverage
Right.
for percolation and so forth as far as water runoff. But it could be right now, it could be an existing nonconformity, which means it's been there for so long that, not that it makes it right, but unfortunately it's been there, and I don't know the particulars, but this could be a zoning issue as well.
Right, that's what I'm seeing as a possible zoning issue. So they could come in to get a permit, which would be required to resurface it and not be able to meet the zoning requirement.
which makes it probably an existing non-conforming piece of parcel.
Is it residential? Residential lot?
Yes, it's right next to, as you come into town, you'll see it. And I've seen it in, as a matter of fact, I think I went there about 10 years ago because I think the husband was a judge.
Yes, it was.
He
Does
was,
this-
yeah.
Does this require a permit to get this done?
No, that's, let me just reiterate. For commercial parking lots, yes, because you got to do the.
Right.
This is a
Striping.
private property. No, you would need
Okay.
just the resealing and so forth. Now, if they start digging and so forth, we would require a permit.
Okay, so they've already had since May that they were first noticed, and now you're suggesting another 2 months, Eric?
I'm actually suggesting 90 days because they still have to,
Another 3 months.
yeah, because they still have to, the wife of the deceased husband, they're still doing the obituary, they're still planning out the burial. So I believe based on the hardship and what they've been going through that, I spoke to her and she said that 90 days should be good. She's just not in the proper headspace.
And I'm just curious, okay, we got all this, but like we're talking here, town's gonna just keep it that way, even though I'm just kind of curious, because obviously she needs to resurface it.
Yeah.
Or it looks like to me it would have to be either torn up and put it the new, or I don't think you're gonna be
No, you can
putting on top of that.
So you can reseal it.
Well, it depends on the state. I mean, I think if I'm the owner and I have this there, I'm not going to tear it up because I know now I'll lose my nonconformity. So
What does
I'll
she
just
use
patch
the
it up,
lot
fix it.
for?
What's that?
What are they using the lot for? I see the basketball court
There's-
there, but
there's nothing.
It's been their side yard. Like, this
For the
is.
past 40
Well,
years.
Okay.
The property is in violation. So why don't we move forward with that?
Okay. I'll make a motion. Based on the testimony,
Vacant lot, is that a vacant lot or is that their side yard? I think a vacant lot that needs to,
Okay, so she owns the vacant lot next door to him.
is it a vacant lot or is it part of the property? Is it my question? Are we, is this
do you have
being
Papa
applied?
on your phone? Can you pull it up and see if it's?
I'm not moving quick enough.
So the property that's in violation is owned by the property owner of
Yeah,
7127.
but understand, is it their side yard?
So this is semantics as far as I'm concerned.
Is it?
This
semantics
is
or
her
it-
this is her property, correct?
mhm.
It is part of her property, yeah.
And it's in violation, correct?
Is the property in her,
Yes.
in his or their names,
Yeah.
both the side property and the house?
Yes.
So it's one property.
Well, I don't know if it is because if it's not a vacant lot that needs to be sealed.
Maybe a continuance.
What's that?
Okay.
We do a continuance.
Can we, can I request that you allow me to do a little more investigation, see if it's got a unity of title, or if in fact they are two separate parcels. And then I think we can address the empty lot from a different perspective.
Otherwise, it's okay. We can give them 90 days.
I mean,
If
what-
We're gonna give them 90 days
what-
to come.
What difference does it make if this person owns that lot and it's in violation and
Well,
needs to be?
what I want
Because it's not
to, what I want to
necessarily
do is look at when that whole lot was blacktop. And if it was permitted at the time that it was blacktop. And at that point, then I figure I could probably address the issue. If not permitted, that we probably can, if we wanted to, is enforce that you have a blacktop piece of property that was not authorized. And if they've been the owners since the beginning, I think you as a board, if Eric had some for a blacktop parcel of property. Because also what I'm looking at that, you've got drainage. Where's all this water runoff going to?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's more than.
That's
just-
why it could potentially be a zoning issue.
Exactly.
I'm
So
kind of for,
You just, the 90 days would probably give me enough time
Yeah.
to take a look at this and then I'll talk with Eric.
how about the December 6th to our next meeting? Because that's going to be,
I'll bring you, yeah.
it's almost
I-
90 days, but I just think, and have all the issues addressed,
Our next-
basically.
Our next meeting is the,
All right.
you're saying within the 90 days.
Yeah.
So you want to move it to December 6th?
Correct. We'll give them that, but that's with Manny doing everything and research.
Let's make sure we get that into the motion, okay?
Do we need to find the violation first and then continue it until that date?
I don't think we know if it's a violation or not because we don't know what it is.
Well, what you do, the violation is property
condition.
maintenance right now as it exists. You
Right.
have a lot, a blacktop lot that's in disrepair. It has cracks, holes, it needs patching and resealing. But the other side of this coin in reference to this is it illegal? That's what I'm going to look into, is to see if this was even permitted. And if not, then recommend that they remove it.
Right.
And at the very least, then at least provide the vegetation to screen that from street view, because I mean, that looks terrible.
Mhm. All right.
Manny, you're building inspector or?
No, I'm the zoning and plan reviewer for the town, not this town. But I do the zoning for this town, but I do plan reviews and zoning code enforcement in other towns.
So I'm thinking I'm going to do number 1, but I would like to add Manny's for the zoning.
Well, there's no zoning citation. Yeah, it certainly seems odd that would be permitted, but maybe it's been there so long that,
Well, that's why.
Yeah,
It's been there so
proceeded.
long that it could be an existing non-conforming, and that's just part of, that's going to stay there until somebody decides to build on it or what have not.
Chief, did you want to say something?
Well,
Provide us with some more help?
If you want to swear me in, I
Yeah.
can talk to you about it.
Can you go to the microphone?
I'll swear you in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony will give me the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I've been here
Chief?
about 22 years.
Chief, can you go to the microphone, please? Thank you.
She wants to make sure it's recorded.
Yes.
Chief Wes Smith. I've been here 22 years and that property's been like that. It's been fully covered with the hedge. And that was Judge Alvarez. He just passed away and his wife and family are going through a lot of issues. And she probably was upset when you talked to her. So I think it would be in the town's best interest, let's check into it, find out what was going on. But knowing Judge Alvarez, I mean, he was very strict and followed the rules and regulations. So that's why I think we need to check it out and see what happened and how long that property's been like that. But it's been like that for about 22 years since I've been here. And really, over the years, you really didn't see it because it was covered with a large hedge.
Yeah,
But I
like
think
it's had been done.
he died in the property because he's been sick. He was sick for about a year.
It looks like white fly has attacked
Mhm.
it, like it's.
So I think that'd be good. We
I
have
would
Danny check
continue
into it. We can check into it.
Yeah.
and Come back and then it may help you make a better decision.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion
Good.
that based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 230518, I move that this board continues this matter until the Code Enforcement Board hearing on December 6th, 2023.
Second that.
Further discussion?
Should we not add that Manny going to do the research and inspect the property and all that?
And that the town further inspect the property to
Correct.
determine
Yeah,
if permitting is required.
yes.
They'll bring it back to us December 6th with whatever their findings is.
Certainly will.
Yeah, but I'm saying you should probably put in your motion. Because it's not really a zoning, right?
Well, we don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
I think is the problem. I mean, if that's going to be permitted to remain, then it should be sealed and, maybe there needs to be drainage and, other issues. And if it can't remain, then it has to be torn out probably and sodded. I don't know. That's all part of the research.
Well, my motion can include the fact that you're going to do the research and bring all that information back to us at the December 6th meeting.
Perfect.
You okay with that, Emily?
Yeah.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Who second the motion?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
230519.
Yes. Good evening. I'm Code Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores. This is case number 23-0519. Property owners confidential. Property address is 7127 Westlake Drive. The notice of hearing was issued on 5/3/2023 for section 125-767 subsection B subsection 7. There were 2 vehicles on the lot with expired registration and or in unabandoned state. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. As of today, the vehicles still remain, and the tags are still out of date. Again, I had explained the situation, what's going on with the family. Those vehicles have been there for probably a long time. So it would be my recommendation to give them either 30 or 60 days to get the vehicles registered and running or removed. If not, a fine of $50 per day may be imposed.
Do we know who those cars are registered to?
Well, it's confidential.
Oh,
because-
okay, is it the same person or the
Yeah.
same family?
Yes.
The wife or the husband or
Yes.
okay.
But due to protective status.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't ask who, I just want to know.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Yeah. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0519, I move that this board find the respondents in violation of sections 125-767 sub B sub 7 of the town code of ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the town's code of ordinance on or before October 25th of 2023. If the response failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed, and I'm taking this with everything that's going on with that family, $50 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on September 25th, 2023.
No, that's
No.
today.
I mean, October 25th. I apologize. October 25th, 2023, if necessary.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I think under the circumstances, 60 days, since I don't know how hard it is to get rid of vehicles or to register and whatever, but we're giving them 90 days or Manny 90 days. I'd say 60 days.
I think, Chief, what would you do in this situation? You got 2 unregistered vehicles. What is the law? Or, I mean, you guys would be giving tickets, right?
Not
Not
on
on
private property, but it'd be a code violation, and I would recommend, under those circumstances, you treat it like you treat anybody else.
That's how I.
Go that way.
Okay, I withdraw
The
my
issue
thought.
I was addressing has been like that for many, many years, and we need to research that.
Right.
I think it requires going to the tag agency to get your
Or-
Okay.
registration. I don't-
Yeah,
I
they
don't
gotta
think
You can do that online or you can have them towed.
I don't know, once it's expired, I'm not sure.
You might have to go in.
Okay, so the motion we have is October 25th, right?
Correct.
Are you ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries again. Okay,
It's going to be case,
Mr. Langford, 230458 and 0459.
yes. All right, case 23-0458. I'm code enforcement officer Eric Richwagon with the town, or sorry, representing the town of Lake Clark Shores. The property owner is identified by Patrick D. Langford, address 7630 Westlake Drive. The notice of violation was issued on 4/21/2023. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. There has been some work that was done to trim back, but not to the extent that was needed. I had one prior conversation with Mr. Langford, who assured me that it was going to get addressed, and that was back in May or possibly the start of June. Since then, I haven't had any correspondence. So it's my recommendation, because it's still an extensive amount of work to be done. So I would recommend 60 days for the trees. If not, a $50 per day violation be assessed.
I have a question, Eric.
Yes.
Is that tree or trees imposing on any public property or easements or?
So they own 3 or 4 lots that are all connected. They trimmed it back before, but the overgrowth is just getting egregious. There were several complaints that were filed to the town about this property. The bare spots have gotten better from what the original photos were till now. So that's been addressed better. They've been keeping people from parking on there. They trimmed back the trees a little bit, but the main part of it is still way too overgrown.
I like that. Hasn't that lot been used by the town before or anything, or vehicles, or in the past? If I remember correctly, I know Dana had mentioned something like that.
No, I'm not aware of it. People use it in the neighborhood as extra parking. That's what the grass. They're gonna comply, right? They're gonna get somebody in there, you have trouble.
I mean, they did some of the work. They just didn't, because like, so in the photos, there's 2 lots you're actually looking at. Those trees are on the violation lot. From the street view, there's another lot that they took care of the violations from this one, and they trimmed up. But what you're seeing here, this lot hasn't been fully addressed. Like I said, it's a makeup of 3 or 4 properties, because the Langford's home is behind the wooded area.
I guess my question is it's going to be subjective, right? I'm sure what you're thinking and maybe what the owner's thinking may be 2 different things. So I mean, if I was the homeowner, I kind of would feel like, what do you want? Because obviously you didn't think I did enough. So I guess my question is he going to call you, hey, or are you going to go there? You need to, cut this down. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I left my business card. I've tried making attempts to contact him. When I post the order to the door, I'll try ringing the doorbell, knocking them, trying to get in contact. But the first lot, which is in front, they did fully take care of that. So the owners knew what to do with that. The same violation for the exact same 2 sections was cited for this one. So they should know what to do, because they had previously done it for the other lot.
Okay.
So what is it that you're actually looking for, though? Do they have to be, the undergrowth have to be removed? Because it
Well,
doesn't seem like it's imposing on another property or anything.
No, but the overgrowth, it needs to be, kept trim, well manicured. The bare spots have to be filled in.
Oh, obviously, yes,
Yeah.
the grass.
And I
I'm
guess
just wondering about the trees.
The tree off of the grass, right? So in other words, make it look like a tree, not like a big old.
Yeah, so what you can see in
Bush.
there is the overgrowth, all the trees are basically merging together. You can't see any separation. And also to address, people's complaints, because people had called the town complaining about this property. So it's not just me
Complaining about
citing-
the trees?
Yes, complaining that those 2 lots were a very big eyesore, and that they believe it needed to be addressed.
And they're probably using the parking space. I don't know what they're gonna do to keep people from parking. If I was doing the grass, I wouldn't want them parking on it.
Yeah, there actually haven't been any vehicles parking on there. The property owners must have spoken to people because when I first started, there were a lot of cars parking there. Now there's not.
Would someone like to make a motion on this first case?
Sure. I'll go ahead. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0458, I move that this board find the respondent in violation of section 34-19 sub 4 of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before October 25th of 2023. If the respondents fail to comply with the order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount of $50 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment and hearing will be held on October 25th, 2023, if necessary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Case
Okay.
23-0459, from Code Enforcement Officer Eric Twagan with the Town of Lake Clark Shores. Property owners identified by Patrick D. Langford. Property site address is 7630 Westlake Drive. A notice of hearing was issued on 4/21/2023 for section 34-19 subsection 3 for ungrassed and bare spots that needed to be resodded. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. The property was re-inspected today, showing that the violation does still exist. It's my recommendation to give them 30 or 60 days to come into full compliance. If not, a fine of $50 may be imposed.
Do we need any further discussion?
No.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll do it. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0459, I move that this board find the respondent in violation of sections 34-19 sub 3 of the Town Code of Ordinances, and the respondent shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before October 25th of 2023. If the respondents failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $50 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th, 2023, if necessary.
Second.
Wes seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Page 8. And
It's 0427.
So this one is in compliance. The property owner was here earlier. She showed me updated photos of the driveway, so that one is in compliance. So we're going to go to the one just below it, which is case 23-0583.
I don't think we can just bypass that at this point. I think we need a motion to say it's in compliance.
Okay, that's fine. I'll present it and then I'll just get my findings. Okay. Case 23-0427. I'm Code Enforcement Officer Eric Twagan. The property owner is identified by Idilbus L. Sanchez. Property site address 1425 Mediterranean Road East. The violation was for that the driveway needed to be cleaned. Give me one second. The notice of violation was issued on 4/18/2023. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. Re-inspected the property today and saw that it was still partially in violation. However, upon the property owner coming in and showing me timestamp photos, which was after I had done the re-inspection, I find that the property is in full compliance and would request that this case be dismissed.
We have a motion to dismiss.
I'll do it. Based on the testimony evidence presented in case number 34-19 sub 9 sub B, I move that the board finds this respondent in compliance with sections 34-19 sub 9 sub B of the Town Code of Ordinances and dismisses the case without prejudice.
Second.
Ariel seconds. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 230583.
Case 230583, from Enforcement Officer Eric Richwagon. The property owner is identified by Idilbus L. Sanchez, property site address 1425 Mediterranean Road East. A notice of violation was issued on 5/16/2023 under section 125-479. Pigeons cannot be housed, kept, or harbored. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. A reinspection up today was unable to be done because the violation is in the backyard. However, after speaking with the property owner, she's giving me permission to go on her property tomorrow to do a full inspection. Based on that, I would recommend to the board to give them 7 days to come in compliance. If not, a fine of $100. A fine of $100 may be assessed.
Can I ask you a question? The
Yes.
case above that one, 230582, you said earlier was in compliance.
Yeah, so for this, because if you look at it, section 6-5 says pigeons cannot be housed or kept, and the one that we're presenting, pigeons cannot be housed or harbored. I didn't find it to be correct to potentially fine someone for what is of a very similar. Future-wise, what I'll do is for something where you have something so similar, I'll just put it on the same violation. So if I were to come across this again, it would be section 125-4779 and section 6-5.
Okay.
So is it correct then to put it in compliance when we don't know that the violation still exists, but perhaps you quoted the wrong section?
No, I could have used either or section, but it was closed because it's running into almost like a double jeopardy thing. We don't want to double penalize someone for the same thing. So I closed that one because we still have this one, which says pigeons cannot be housed or harbored.
So the case is closed, but not necessarily in compliance.
Correct. I went with section 125-479 because it has much stronger wording and is more finite. 6-5 is good, but I went with the stronger ordinance.
Okay.
Can I see the picture where it shows the cage or whatever it is?
Was that from the neighbor complaint or something?
How many,
So you're looking at some housing there, but it's actually underneath those small cages. Underneath it is the bigger cage that was being built.
well, those are cages where the red flags are?
Above them.
And also the silver cage underneath that is, it was quite a big housing. It's probably
Underneath the table is another, or more cages?
it's the piece. So the actual pigeon coop is about the size of this table and was about 5 or 6 feet tall.
Oh,
Yeah, so the resident was temporarily housing them in smaller cages. He ended up having almost 200 pigeons, so it was quite a big pigeon coop. Yeah, and this was from
200.
every surrounding neighbor was calling and complaining. They're actually the ones who, they didn't just complain, but they even provided me with the section of the code about the pigeons.
and they let the pigeons out and they come back?
Yes, the pigeons were released. Unfortunately, they were doing stuff to people's cars and roofs, causing people to have to clean up messes.
Mhm.
Is that the same section of the code that addresses chickens? Just curious.
It's under fowl, yeah. Can't have no chickens, no fowl, certain types of wildlife.
We got it.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay,
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0583, I move that this board find the respondents in violation of section 125-479 of the town code of ordinances. And respondents shall come into compliance on or before the October 25th code enforcement board meeting, or a fine of $50 a day may be imposed.
is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Jake?
I think it should be more. I'll be honest with you. If they have 200 pigeons, they're just going to move the box, probably be away. Eric will then leave. Here we go. And they bring it back. I honestly think you need to send a very strong message because they're just going to keep doing it. And how did you find this? Well, the neighbors told you. So that's.
Yeah, I will say that the interaction that I had, so the property owner who came in, she's the owner. The person who's with her is either a fiance or boyfriend. When I posted the notice of hearing to the door, as all my interactions are recorded on body camera, the boyfriend or fiance who actually houses the pigeons got very angry with me, cursed me out, got a little bit verbally threatening. So that's why he wasn't present. But I mean, from what the property owner is saying, but yes, if they do return with it, the neighbors will 100% complain because they've stayed on top of it since I issued it. And because it's already been presented here, if it comes back for that, then it could be a repeat violator and the fine could go up to a maximum fine of 500 per day. So I think that could send a pretty strong message to.
Jerry, would you like to amend the motion?
Yes.
And we'll vote on the amendment.
Yeah.
7 days.
So you move to amend the fine.
And also make it 7 days. Because he says you're going to go there. She told you to go there tomorrow, right?
Yes.
From what? $50 a day to
200.
to $200 a day.
It's a hazard, right? You get bird droppings, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I'll change my recommendation. I will agree with the board that to increase it from 50 to 200.
And is there a second to the amendment?
I'll
Second,
second it.
yeah.
Wes seconds. Okay. All those in favor of the amendment to $200 per day, say aye.
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 And that includes
7 days.
7 days to comply.
Um,
No, that doesn't,
No,
that doesn't mean that Eric can go back in 20 days and check, correct?
He's going tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, he
I'm
goes
going
tomorrow,
tomorrow.
everything's cleaned out, then he goes back 20 days. That means he's a repeat offender, or they are repeat offenders?
So they've been presented here. So it's on the record that they're in violation. So because it's been presented, even if they come into compliance, because they've already been presented before the board, if it happens again, then yes, they can be deemed as a repeat violator.
Okay.
so we're now going to vote on the main motion, which is to find them in violation of
7 days,
and with a fine of $200 a day.
Correct.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Well, you're on a roll, man. Okay. 230575, 0576, and 0585.
All right, case 23-0575, to enforcement officer Eric Richwagon, property owner Stacy L. Vandenberg, site address 7518 Alpha Court East. A notice of violation was issued on 5/16/2023 for section 10-91 subsection alpha. There was a gate that, how do you put it? Garage gate, how do you say that?
Well, the entrance gate was,
Thank you.
entrance gate was installed without a permit. A permit was issued on August 3rd, but to date, there's no final inspection called on this permit that was issued.
you.
Bless you.
Okay, so yeah, the notice of violation was issued for the entrance gate. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. I went out and re-inspected the property today. As Manny stated, that there are permits that have been pulled, but no final inspection has been done. So as of today's date, they are still in violation, which Manny agreed with. It's my recommendation, because all they need is a final inspection. So it's my recommendation to give them 30 days to come into compliance and get that final inspection done. If not, a fine of $100 a day may be assessed.
on a building permit, how long do they have to complete the job?
from the time you pull a permit,
6 months?
it really, the Florida Building Code gives you 6 months. But you can continue that as long as you have an inspection, keep that permit active by having an inspection within that 6 months period. Then you have, the clock starts again, another 6 months.
But it has to be a past inspection,
Yes.
right?
And this hasn't been 6 months yet. So my question is, are we jumping the gun?
Well,
Because 6 months would be November.
Well,
The work is
but
already-
he pulled the permit. Right now, the violations, he did work without a permit.
Correct.
Okay, he pulled the permit after the fact. What we have right now then is a work done without the permit, and a permit has been pulled, but the work has been done. It's not as if he was caught
Right.
installing it. It's already been installed. We are looking now for a permit and a final inspection, because he's already done the work. It's not, again, it's not as if he's
It's after the
started
fact.
the work or
Right.
caught in the process.
So the notice of initial violation was May 16th. And here we are in September, and we still don't have a final inspection.
Well, he pulled the permit on August 3rd.
So
Yeah.
he had about 3 months where
3
he was
months
in
just-
violation
Yeah,
of,
so,
Right,
right?
would someone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I will. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0575, I move that this board find the respondent in violation of sections 10-91 sub A of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondent shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before October 25th of 2023. If the response failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $100 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th, 2023, if necessary.
There a second?
I'll second it.
Ariel seconds.
Now, I have a question on that. By doing this, which I fully agree with it, he still had that 3 months where he put the gate in and didn't get a permit. So that, in doing this, gives him that 3 months for no penalty. Is that correct?
So should I just do it from May 5th, May 16th?
No, you can't back.
Can't go back, right? And he
No.
just did the permit. So when can I?
So,
I mean, all you can do is shorten the time to comply if you want. I mean, if you could give them the October 10th or, whatever you want to do, but
I got October
Well-
25th. He's already,
Well, he
Right.
has a permit now, right?
but now he hasn't had
But
final
he hasn't
inspection.
had the final inspection.
He hasn't had it, he hasn't had the final, and that's the violation that he was cited for, work without the permit. The permit is, he's not in compliance until he gets that final. I guess it's,
If he doesn't have it done by October 25th, he gets fined $100. Well, we start the fine right there.
Right.
But-
I mean, in dispute.
I guess my thing is, he tried to get away with not getting a permit. When could I start this earlier
No,
or no? I mean,
You
now's the
can't.
earliest.
well, you have to give some period of time to comply.
right.
So,
Then I just keep it the same.
Well, there's really, the time is all he has to do. He's got the permit, he's got the gate installed. Get on, all he needs is, I would.
All he needs the person who
a
did the
week at
work.
most. I mean, he's already
Give
got
him
the
10
job
days.
done.
Right, right.
Unless it's not done properly is why he's not calling it in.
Well then, okay, what do we here?
Well, you could just leave it the way it is. Or you can shorten it.
I can shorten it. How much time you want to give him, Eric? What's a reasonable time between now? I mean,
Get a final
just,
I
inspection.
mean, the work has already been done. I mean, the
Right.
gate, like, it's done, the next,
right, it's a matter of them calling their contractor and say, hey, dude, you need to sign off on this.
it's a final inspection. I mean, a final inspection is, Mandy, 30
Yeah.
days, right?
I don't know if this was a owner builder or a contractor, not that it makes any difference because there was no permit. But if it was a contractor, I think that's probably his problem. The contractor doesn't want to come up And, well, there would be a bill also. He would have gotten an invoice for the work.
Is it an electric gate?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that at all.
So could he get a final inspection within 2 weeks?
30 days to be fair.
2 weeks, I would think that'd be more than enough. Let him, at the very least, let him contact Eric and say, this is what I've got, and maybe whatever necessary arrangements he can make to get the final is, at least we can have some dialogue started with this guy, because you haven't made any contact with him, have you?
No, I've spoken with the property owner. He's kind of shuffling the issue over to the town, just saying that, he's got everything done. It's the town that's holding him up.
Okay, we're gonna, if he wants, enough of the holding up. So let's see, move the board.
So you made
How
a
about
motion.
make the, yeah, if I can amend it to October 10th. He needs to have it complied by October 10th. Is that,
Is there any objection?
that's 3 weeks, right? Or 2 weeks?
2 weeks, 2 weeks from today.
So the motion is $100 a day and a final inspection be done by October 10th.
Correct.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
All right.
230576.
Yes, case 230576. Property owners identified by Stacy L. Vandenberg. Property site address 7518 Alpha Court East. The property was cited on 5/16/2023 under section 10-91 subsection alpha. The garage door was worked on without a permit. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. Reinspection as of today. As you can see with the pictures, the work was already done, but the permits were pulled, but they're still waiting a final inspection. So it's my recommendation to give them 2 weeks to get the final inspection done. If not, a fine of $100 a day may be imposed.
Okay, I'll do it again, same. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0576, I move that this board finds the respondent in violation of sections 10-91 sub A of the town's code of ordinances. Respondent shall comply with the town's code of ordinance on or before October 10th of 2023. If the respondents fail to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $100 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th, 2023, if necessary.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
We need a
Aye.
second
Aye.
first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who seconds?
I think Debbie just did.
Debbie seconds.
Second it.
All those in favor say aye.
No discussion.
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I'll
All
want to
right.
go home.
All right.
All right.
230585.
Yes, sir. All right, case 23-0585. The property owner is identified by Stacy L. Vandenberg. Site property address is 7518 Alpha Court East. A notice of violation was issued on 5/16/2023. Violation was for under section 125-263 subsection 8. House address numbers are needed on the home. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. As of today's date, there are still not house address numbers on the home. I spoke to the property owner. He said they were ordering it and it would be on the property. As of today, it is not. So it's my recommendation to give them 7 to 14 days to come into compliance. If not, a fine of $50 a day may be imposed.
I'll do this one.
Any discussion?
Well, personally, I think I don't want to make the chief's job any tougher than it is. Any emergency vehicle, that's just absolutely wrong. And they're just taking their sweet time, it seems, with everything. But to me, that's even more serious. So
The only thing is, I mean, they don't have the house address numbers on the home. The one thing that gave me my recommendation is because they don't just have house numbers on their mailbox, but the house numbers also light up at night. So it does stand out. However, they do still need them to be physically on the home.
Are the lighted house numbers permitted by code and or by permit?
I don't think we have a code that says they can't.
Well,
I like
to
them.
be honest with you, I don't, the numbers, the code, I think if I remember recollect correct, it's got to be on the building itself in contrasting
Mhm.
color. But as far as being lighted, I don't, unless it's something that's
Why not?
really
Are you talking about the front of the
invasive
house?
or
The
obtrusive to the neighboring properties.
mailbox is what you're saying?
Well, I guess that's what they're saying is lit is the mailbox. Wouldn't they have to put electric to the mailbox unless it's a little,
Well, this is all about the one, the actual physical home. The structure of the home has to have an address on it.
Yes.
So that's a separate,
That's a good point about the lighting.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I will. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0585, I move that this board finds the respondent in violation of sections 125-263 sub 8 of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before October 10th of 2023. If the respondents fail to comply with the order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $200 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th, 2023, if necessary. And again, it's because of, it's a safety issue, or should there be a fire, should there be, you know.
Is there a second?
A second.
I think they'll see the house on fire.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
All right, case 23-0661, property owners identified by Best Lighting Electric Inc., property site address 1812 Barbados Road on 6/16/2023. A notice of violation was issued for section 10-91 subsection alpha. Structural work was done without a permit. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. Reinspection was done today, but where the location of it is, I was unable to take pictures because it's on the back of the property. But there have been no permits pulled as of today. My recommendation to give them 30 days to come into compliance. If not, a fine of $100 a day may be assessed. And there's been no communication with, oh, sorry. There was a conversation with a property owner who alluded to me that he had spoken with Manny and that everything was okay. I had contacted Manny, and per our conversation, what was being relayed to me was incorrect. Manny had gone there to issue a stop work order and had seen what he could see through the slider, and it indicates that there was more work being done than initially said.
And we're on discussion.
Yeah, we're discussion. Mhm.
The interesting thing is, look at the owner, Best Lighting Electric. So if they're not even pulling a permit for their own stuff and as major as this, they're not doing it for their customers. I'm assuming. I mean, this is pretty outrageous.
They're the property owners and the house is up on the market for sale.
Yeah, it's on the market for 680,000. So whatever.
Going back to what you were saying previously, because permits weren't pulled, if someone does buy this property, God forbid something happens, the insurance companies won't cover it because if a permit wasn't pulled, they're not going to cover it. So that goes back to what you're saying, that someone could possibly become a victim.
What happens with this company? Does this, with our board zoning or the county, do they, hey, here's an electric company. They know what needs to be done. I mean, you're in a position of trust and you're not even doing it. Yeah, I mean, isn't this business practices?
What'll happen is the building official will contact the Department of License and Regulations, make a report that this electrical contractor did work without a permit. And then at some point, they could lose their license, depending on how many times they've been reported.
And they can't pull a permit as an owner builder if the property's owned by a corporation or an LLC.
And even if they could pull an owner builder, they couldn't sell the property for a year because of the work that they've done as an owner builder.
Right.
So they're pretty well stuck right now. No permits.
Although,
And when Eric mentioned that he had talked to me, I've never even met the man. So I don't know where that came from as far as him talking. Because when I went there and posted it, there was nobody there.
When was this cited?
I mean,
When was this cited?
notice of
The
violation.
notice of
It
violation?
was cited on 6/16/2023, and that exact same day, I had contacted Manny, as I do with all my violations, just to make sure that Manny was aware and that it gets put on the book for him to go do an inspection, which I think, was it the same day you were able to go out, or you don't remember? Because you did post a stop work order.
yeah, I think it was the same day when I received, I went there, took a peek through the glass, and there was all kinds of work done. And I think somebody had mentioned, one of the girls in the office might have mentioned that they saw that on Zillow or something.
Yes.
That it was free, that it was on sale, and looking inside there, you could see that the whole place has been remodeled. Cabinets, countertops, flooring.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I will.
Well, a question first. Go ahead. How can we get to file a lien ASAP?
Mhm.
You know, what's the quickest time we can get a lien filed? This is for sale. And I have a question on another one that is sold, that we may not, if we put it out a month or whatever it is, we may not have time to get the lien before the house sells. Now, this house has been on the market since June.
I can answer your question, because a lien search was done, also a request for all violations. Whenever a house is being sold, the realtors do a really good job reaching out to me. So it's known that this property has violations on it. In fact, 2 days prior to our hearing, you know, a request was made to the town about this property, if there's any violations. And the exact ones we're hearing tonight were the ones that were, you know, given and provided. It's been my experience that once potential buyers know that there's open violations, that kind of puts a whole halt on the selling process. Not always, but it is definitely a red flag that stands out.
Well, title companies call that in because the banks want to know that they have a clean and clear title.
Yeah, but I think if it's not recorded in the Registry of Deeds or Palm Beach County Registry, can it be effective, is my question.
Well, generally, as they're saying, a title company will contact the city and ask if there's any outstanding code issues and any liens, that sort of thing. You can't put a lien on it until you're finding a violation. You find the violation tonight,
Okay.
and then your next meeting, unless you're going to have a special meeting, I mean, there'd be no way to do it.
Well, the lien is one issue, but the violation is the other. And any title company that does a check is finding the violation, which says as much as a lien would.
Yes.
Okay, so, well, you know what? They've had since June 6th. We still have no permits. Nothing's been done, correct?
As up to date.
Yep, absolutely nothing as of today.
I was thinking they're not even here to talk. I would think we could just order assessing the fine starting as of tonight.
You have to give some period of time, and that doesn't have to be a month. I mean, it could be a week, it could be whatever.
All right, I'll do the 2 weeks then. Here we go. All right. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0661, I move that this board finds the respondents in violation of section 10-91 sub A of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before October 10th of 2023. If the response failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th of 2023 if necessary.
Second.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion.
It's blatant what this contractor has done. It's their profession. I mean, they violated every trust and everything, and their licensing and everything. So I'm sorry. And now they're going for pure profit at the risk of whoever buys that property. God forbid an elderly or a child or anybody.
How many
So-
days did you give them?
2 weeks. 2 weeks,
2 weeks.
14 days.
October 10th.
October 10th, 2 weeks from tonight.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Next
Case
case.
23-0662, property owners identified by Best Lighting Electric, Inc. Property site address is 1812 Barbados Road. Notice of violation was issued on 6/16/2023 under section 10-91 subsection A. Electrical work was done without a permit. As previously stated, I had a conversation with the property owner. Things that were stated were not correct. Reinspection as of today and a checker permit shows that there are no permits that have been pulled. My recommendation to give them 14 days to come into compliance. If not, a $100 fine may be assessed.
Is any discussion necessary?
No.
I'll take it.
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll do it. Go ahead, Wesley. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0662, I move this board find the response in violation of sections 1091 sub A of the town code of ordinances. Respondent shall comply with the town ordinances on and before October 10th, 2023. If the respondents fail to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount of not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. The fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th. Is that it? Yeah.
Yep.
If necessary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ariel seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Case
23-0663.
Yes. Case 23-0663, property owners identified by Best Lighting Electric, Inc. Property site address 1812 Barbados Road. On 6/16/2023, a notice of violation was issued for section 10-91 subsection A. Mechanical work was done without a permit. Reinspection of today's date shows that the violation still exists. As of today, there have been no permits that have been applied for or pulled. It's my recommendation to give them 14 days to come into compliance. If not, a fine of $100 a day may be assessed.
Is there further
Hey.
discussion?
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0663, I move this board find the respondents in violation of sections 1091A of the town code of ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the town's code of ordinances on and before October 10th, 2023. If the respondents fail to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine amount of not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. The fine assessment hearing will be on October 25th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. 0664.
Yes, case 23-0664, property owners identified by Best Lighting Electric, Inc. Property site address 1812 Barbados Road. On 6/16/2023, a notice of violation was issued for section 10-91 subsection alpha. Plumbing work was done without a permit. Reinspection of today's date find that the violation still exists. No permits have been applied for or pulled. It's my recommendation to give them 14 days to come into compliance. If not, a fine of $250 a day, sorry, $250 per day may be assessed.
Okay.
Discussion? Motion?
I'll do it. Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0664, I move that this board finds the respondent in violation of sections 10-91 sub A of the town code of ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the town code of ordinances on or before October 10th of 2023. If the response failed to comply with the order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th of 2023 if necessary. Second.
Seconds. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 230703.
Yes, case 23-0703. Property owners are identified by Central Place Professional. Property site address is 1497 Forest Hill Boulevard. On 7/5/2023, a notice of violation was issued for section 34-19 subsection 4. The back of the property near Corandis Road is overgrown. Also, several complaints for this came in for the neighbor that lives directly across from this property and for the one at the corner at 1600 Corandis. A notice of hearing was issued on 9/8/2023. Reinspection was done as of today, showing the violation to still exist. I reached out to the property owner. They included me in email threads saying that they were going to get it done. However, it's still been about a month. I informed them via email and by phone that if it does not come into compliance by today's date, that a fine could be imposed. We're still getting complaints. It is a health and safety because overgrown grass can harbor snakes, insects, raccoons. It's also because of the overgrowth and the property connected to it, it could easily turn into a dumping ground. So it's my recommendation to give them 7 days to come into full compliance. If not, a fine of $250 per day be assessed.
When were they cited? What date?
They're cited on July 5th, 2023, and the complaint started coming in shortly after that. To this date, there's been anywhere from 6 to 7 complaints. I have email threads with that from the neighbor who lives at 1600 Corandis. So the residents are becoming quite upset with us, as they should be.
I'll take it. I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Based on the testimony and evidence presented in case number 23-0703, I move that this board find the respondent in violation of sections 34-19 sub 4 of the Town Code of Ordinances. Respondents shall comply with the Town Code of Ordinances on or before, you're saying 7 days?
Yeah, 7 days should, we still have to give them a reasonable amount of time to come into compliance. I believe 7 days is the shortest amount that I would recommend.
What do you get, 2?
What was that?
2 weeks? Or is that too much?
That's 1 week.
It's going to be too much. 7 days because it's been going on since July and because I've had,
October 3rd, you got it. October 3rd of 2023. If the response failed to comply with this order in a timely fashion, a fine in the amount not to exceed $250 per day may be imposed. A fine assessment hearing will be held on October 25th of 2023 if necessary.
Ariel seconds. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I think that's it.
yes.
You got a whole
That was the
section
last
too.
case.
Yeah, okay. We'll go on to board comments. I have 2 comments. The first is a question to the board members. Have any of you ever felt threatened by participating in the code board?
I have not.
No.
The reason I ask is it was brought to my attention from someone who spoke with a previous board member who said that they were followed home from one of these meetings. That's why I asked the question.
No,
No,
not here.
I've never experienced
No.
anything
And
like that.
that person was pretty upset.
Well, understandably so.
They left the board.
Mm-hmm. And my next one is I asked Emily to send you all that guide.
Recommendation.
That guide. And I have done that because having been on this board for a long time, I have seen some changes in how much some of these code violations are imposed, the fines that are imposed. And it's been brought to my attention recently that there's some concern about our consistency in the fines that we impose. That the same code violations can vary from $25 a day to $250 a day for the same violations. So I thought maybe trying to standardize our codes a little bit, or not codes, but our fines might be something we would consider, which is not to mean that there aren't reasons why you wouldn't adjust that fine. For instance, as an example, someone that's noticed 6 months ago and has made no attempt to communicate with the board versus someone that calls Eric the next day. So I offered that as consideration.
I like them.
You may feel that some of them are too high or too low, and I don't know if that's something we're allowed to do. I say it's a guide. It's not anything in concrete. It just.
Yeah, I think it's fine as a guide. I'd recommend is, maybe everybody needs a little time to go over the numbers, what they think's appropriate. Because for instance, this was just an overgrown lot at 250, and I noticed, and not that I'm saying that was wrong, but, you had $50 down here. The other thing to keep in mind, and this is what you're saying really indirectly about, you can consider other factors. The statute says in determining the amount of a fine, the code enforcement board shall consider the following factors: the gravity of the violation, any actions taken by the violator to correct the violation, and any previous violations committed by the violator. So those would be things you could maybe look at to go up or down, if you arrive at a sort of a schedule of what you think's appropriate.
I appreciate you taking the time to put that together, Paul, because I also agree and think that just, consistent. I mean, there's many, it's not like the town never got compliance before. And we've always worked through it as neighbors and got compliance. And I've heard it described many different ways, but whether it's a glove with a velvet, it's a hiker with a velvet glove, to quote somebody who said that before. But yeah, I think I appreciate you bringing this before for our consideration. Something lines up and resonates with me.
I think you should put it on the agenda for next meeting. For us to make a comment on it or discuss it, to give us time to look at it. That sound right?
I just feel, honestly, I mean, this code board has existed for a very long time in this town, and it's nice. But obviously, a lot of the residents also want code enforcement. And there's residents that they receive those notices, they take it serious. Hey, I have a situation. They come and present to us. If they need more time, they're in constant contact, or they come up here and speak to us, and then obviously we're lenient. Then we have the folks that are not. They've absolutely avoided the whole situation. And like Eric had brought up, even had a person who was berating him and upset and situation. And unfortunately, I think the fine sends a clear picture. We're not here. We all are neighbors. We just care. All we care is the compliance. But unfortunately, some people just do not react. Matter of fact, $25 or $50, even $100 now, it's nothing, especially now that our homes here are going well, are surpassing $1 million. But that's beside the fact. The problem is people complying and taking serious the notice coming from the town. They could obviously call the code enforcement officer, have a conversation. But if they refuse to do that, they refuse to come and present themselves or their case. And then we got things that are dragging on for months. I think the fine should be reflective of their non-action. And I think also, I think the town has a reputation too, that, oh, you can always appeal it. You know, they'll talk it down, or they'll negotiate, and we've been here. Now, some of us have been here a couple of years or whatever, but unfortunately, and I think we all have cases that, you know what, we were too lenient, or maybe, or they basically lied, and you find out later. And unfortunately with experience, but I just don't think people, you know, just making it peddly anymore is acceptable.
Every individual has a right to be judged based on their individual case, not the case of anybody who came before them. And because somebody lied in a previous case and with a similar situation, they shouldn't be held. They shouldn't be bearing the cross for that individual. The other thing is that we have this maximum fine a day, and you all talk about, hey, we can impose this maximum fine today, and when they come back and come into compliance, we'll reduce it. Well, guess what? You're barely reducing it. You're hitting people with thousands of dollars of fine. And you got compliance, you got what you needed, and you're still nailing them. So I think that's where I think we're going wrong. I think that's where we're deviating from the.
But Ariel, one thing is going for compliance. I agree, but why the individuals that actually do work without a permit, they done everything, but they got caught. Now they're working backwards. And now because they become in compliance, we can just forget about it. I think it's a behavior. And honestly, I think I've asked Emily, I don't know if they have it in the newsletter or whatever, but it's a fresh. But can I finish? Because you keep on. I'm just telling you, there's a rash of people with the building permits. This is just, put it in the newsletter and say, hey, you need, please, don't call the town. And no, all we can do is tell the town, go get your permit, do it the right way. Don't, you know, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people here without permits. And I get it.
I'm not talking about permits. We're talking broadly. We're not talking about any type of specific violation. We're speaking broadly about fines and how they're being applied. But, and you're bringing something up very specifically that we're not discussing. And that's my only point against that.
I'm only just suggesting that we try to have some
continuity,
some consistency. That's all. You're certainly entitled to recommend any amount you want based on your rationale, and that'll be recorded in the minutes why we did that. I'm just suggesting that over time, I've noticed that depending on the membership, you may have a tendency to have a more aggressive group of people versus members who are less aggressive. But what the town's property owners see is inconsistency with some of the fines. You know, several years ago, you got a fine of $50 a day, and 3 years later, it's $250 a day.
Yeah, but I think what some of the people don't understand is the story behind the story.
Right.
You know, they can say, boy, I got $50 and, you know, Ariel got 250. Boy, those guys are awful. Well, you don't know that the story behind the story. And I think we're very cognizant of what we're charging people. We're reducing, almost every fine is being reduced to give them a break. I mean, I have no problem with giving guidelines, but, you know, I also feel they're going to be offenders and they're not going to cooperate with the town. There's a price to pay for that.
Yeah, but you're reducing based on a fine of a max that we're intentionally setting in order to get them their attention. We got their attention, we get compliance, and then we're reducing of an arbitrary number. We picked $250 a day. It could have been $50 a day, and then you could have just, okay, you know what? We only charge you $50 a day. We're gonna keep it at $50 a day. Fine. The end result is compliance, and that's the point that's bothering me the most, is that we're going into this with the intention of setting the max to get the attention, get compliance. We get compliance, and then we're not, or we're barely coming off of that number. Especially when I'm voting to support something a month or two before it, with the intention of coming down, and then nobody else is willing to come down. That bothers me a lot. And I don't think it's very neighborly to do it that way. That's all.
If you would like to discuss this at the next meeting, after you have a chance to look at that, we can do that, or we can just forget it. It's up to you guys. I used
to think
just a
Paul was
thought.
a hawk.
No, I'm just
I used to think Paul was a hawk.
You know,
I don't think that anymore.
I'm just
You're
talking
asking more
about
than I know.
consistency, whether it's this much or
Yeah.
that much, that's all.
Yeah. To your point, you used to be considered more strict, viewed more strict than others.
Really?
Yeah, versus others on the board, sure.
Okay. Well, what would you like to do? You want to talk about it the next meeting?
I would be in favor of adding a topic for discussion at the next meeting. Hopefully we'll end before 9 PM.
Right, right.
Right.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Wait a minute, I have a couple of comments.
Sorry,
I hate to hold people up, but I do have a question.
sorry.
On 8001 South Lake Drive, which just recently sold and had been code violation, been cited, did we get any money from that?
Is that Mr. Moore's property?
That's in the bottom of page 6. It is Canales.
Oh.
Canales.
No,
Says here during the August 23rd meeting, we heard them, then they're in violation. And we just said that, yeah, we checked that people check for the violation. So this sold on September 20th.
so,
What happened there? Did anything happen there?
so they came into compliance, but the property was not able to be sold because the potential buyers were not going to buy until the violations came into compliance. So the 2 required permits were pulled. And do we know if the 3 or 4 time permit fee was assessed?
I don't know, but
Yeah,
from the agenda here, it says that a fine of $200 may be imposed, so there was no fine running on this.
Right. But there was a citation.
Yeah, and the process was held up because there were violations. So, the property owners knew that they had to pull the permits in order to sell the home.
But is the process that they have to pull a permit, or they have to pull a permit and pass a final inspection in order to be in compliance?
Yeah, in order for the code violation to be closed, you have to, specifically for permits, a permit has to be applied for, it has to be submitted, and in order for it to close, you have to have a passing final inspection.
Okay, so they did get a past final inspection?
Yes,
Was that before September 7th?
yes.
Okay, all right. Also, I'd like to come to the council meeting on the 10th. But I have family coming in at 5:30 in the afternoon, so I may not be here, but all those that are coming, I wish you luck. And I may try to come on Zoom to watch it, to break away from the family, but
Talking about council or code?
council's going to discuss code enforcement on the 10th.
Oh, okay.
Just so everybody knows, I'd like to be here, but got to be with the family.
Gotcha. Anybody else? Is there a motion to
Well, for
adjourn?
me, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 9:25 PM.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Before you all leave,
Chief.
I wanted to take